global controls will have to be imposed, and a world governing body will be created to enforce them. Crises precipitate change.
Secretly plotting your demise. I want to devise a virus.
Hello everyone, Darko 2012 here with Global Government News, and it's been a while since I posted my last video, and I haven't posted a lot of videos in the past 2 weeks. I've been kind of tied up with this the Cutting Edge radio show, along with other personal business that I had to attend to, so sorry for that, but you know, it's just good to be able to get back here and start making some videos again. There's been a lot happening with the jobs bill and the healthcare bill, but the first one that caught my eye that I wanted to cover was the drones may be sent soon to help with border security, Napolitano says, and that's the title of this article published by the Dallas Morning News, and this was from March 20th, 2010. This comes after one of the police departments in Texas, I can't remember which one, if it was Dallas or Austin or what it was, but they basically were test flying surveillance drones, like for the police department, and they didn't tell anybody, and then the local news caught it, and you can see them doing their little tests, and they're real secretive. They just, you know, of course they got their blacked out tinted windows, and when the reporter went up to him and he just cracked it just enough so the slave can get some information out of them, and he said, up, and then he is, you know, rolled his black window back up, and that was it. And they were real secretive about it. They didn't really want the public to know, but they did find out, and so here we go. It says, Austin, the federal government may soon send unmanned aircraft to scour West Texas and the state's coastal waters in an effort to boost border security, U.S. Homeland Security Secretary Janet Napolitano said in a letter to the governor sent Friday. Perry had formally requested the assistance a week ago, of course, because he's a globalist. The need also was underscored in a phone call that Democratic nominee Bill White had with Napolitano on Thursday. Homeland Security has 6 drones and is working with the Federal Aviation Administration to get the necessary clearances to begin flying over Texas. Before operations start, ground control stations, pilots, sensor operators, and maintenance support have to be allocated. She said that the governor would be kept apprised of the progress. This is encouraging news, and we are hopeful that this technology and additional federal resources will be deployed to Texas as soon as possible, said Perry's spokesman Katherine Cesinger. Perry has complained that the federal government has not done enough to secure the border, especially in light of escalating drug violence in Mexico border towns. And, well, yeah, I mean, there you go. They want more money. They want federal money as our country is going down the freaking tubes, and we just signed the biggest, healthcare reform bill in history. Where if you don't pay for it, if you don't get in private insurance, or you don't have private insurance, or you don't get the government insurance, and you're paying taxes and stuff like that, you basically will, you'll get slapped with a huge fine, possibly jail time. So it'll be interesting to see if they actually follow through with that type stuff. But hey, as our country falls apart economically and socially, because there'll be race warfare and class warfare and all this other stuff. These drones aren't for stopping drugs. They're not for securing the borders. That's not what the bankers want, not the little banking cartel, because they run the fucking drugs. They don't care about stopping drugs or stopping the flow of immigration. I mean, dude, it's cheap labor. All right? It's cheap labor. They like to play this fascist corporatist style economic game where they say, oh, we're about keeping America strong and shutting the borders and building a wall, and then we're going to let them in, and we're going to give them, legal status. They just have to learn, English, and those people that were here, we're not going to make them leave or anything, and it could be a sticky subject but for the most part, I mean, that's just another thing, right? The whole immigration thing, where you have people that come over here and then they pop out a baby, and then all of a sudden they're American citizen, and then and it gets all emotional about tearing the family apart while they're sucking resources, through federal funds. So, I mean, maybe if they took some of the federal funds away from illegal immigrants and put it towards these drones, they'd have money to fight immigration, right? Like, that's what they're saying they're going to be used for, but they're not. They're not going to stop the drugs. They're not going to stop the flow of immigrants. And so it'll be just like, this is my little prediction. I'm not a prophesizer or a psychic, but just going off the history of the government, the federal government mostly, but also state governments, because you do have sellouts like this, like Rick Perry and that. But yeah, it'll be just like the they do have DUI checks with, they're taking blood now, and there's actually states calling for, any DWIs to be blood taken or blood drawn. But my point is that this is going to be just like, in the name of stopping illegal immigrants by the border down in Arizona, right near the border, they'll have like security checks, or not security checks, but they'll have kind of like roadblocks. I guess you can't really go through them, and you can't just drive through them and say, well, no, that's not really constitutional, I'm not going to do that. No, you have to go, and you have to be harassed by Homeland Security, people with Spanish speaking accents, and you have to be treated like you're not a citizen in your own country. And if you don't cooperate and you don't comply, you'll get the shit beat out of you. Even if you are a priest, they will beat the shit out of you, because they don't care. They don't discriminate with slaves. We're all slaves, and that's how we'll be treated. So, these drones are going to be much like the border security checks, where they just creep, and eventually you have these unconstitutional checks, roadblocks that are 100 miles in from the border, asking you if you're a citizen, when most of them are Americans. And then eventually they'll creep out, and then they'll start having them on the California and all around the southern coast and the East Coast, and then they'll creep in towards the Midwest, and you'll have border roadblocks. Are you a citizen? We got to draw blood to see if you're under the influence. And of course, because of the criminal Gestapo system that we have, a legal system, we're all guilty, and we have to prove our innocence. Because this isn't about being all presumed innocent, and then, if we're guilty, well, then we have to do something to show that we're guilty. It's not just, and that's why you have the cars with these police cruisers that have the blacked out tinted windows, and then the slaves, God forbid we have our own privacy, right? No, you'll get pulled over. 8 out of 10 times, the cars that you see on the side of the expressway that are being pulled over by the state police or county sheriff troopers, whatever, they're going to have tinted windows, because they don't like slaves. They don't like being able to not see this through slaves' vehicles, because those vehicles are not owned by you. You have a certificate of title. You do not have the title to that car. They shredded that original title, and you don't own it. So, like I said, it goes deeper and deeper and deeper. And these drones will eventually be flying over Oklahoma and Idaho and Tennessee, and it'll be all in the name of terrorism. And it'll creep further from the border and further from the border, like these roadblocks. And so my ultimate point here is that, like I've been saying for the past 3 months, is that all these measures will be used in the name of fighting terrorists. But unfortunately, the terrorists are no longer going to be brown-skinned people, or even black-skinned or dark brown, whatever you want to call it, people from the Middle East or Nigeria or Africa. No, they're going to be white people from the United States. Yes, they're going to turn all this stuff against you.